calculation of gross and net value of assets and depreciation on it, always prepare this asset schedule. In the asset schedule, you will always have the purchase of assets or capex minus the sales of assets if you have done any. And when I say sale of assets, here we have to add or we have to consider the gross value of assets sold. That gives us the gross value of assets minus accumulated depreciation will give you net block of assets. Now in this particular case, the gross value of assets or net value of assets in year 0, as we have to consider the values to be in year 0 as end of period values, will be 25. But always remember, do not type the values, always link the values with the values given to you or provided to you. Now for the purpose of asset schedule, my net block of asset for year 0 is equal to my capex for year 0, as there are no purchases or sale or depreciation for year 0. Considering the depreciation to be 0, even my gross value of assets becomes 25 only in year 0, and that is an assumption that we are making for this particular case. Now my gross value of asset is calculated for year 0. Into that we will keep on adding the purchases or the capex if any, and that we can get from the total capex figure, as there are no purchases in the given case for the period of 6 years. And by linking it with total capex, very rightly we get the capex value for year 3 added as 14. There are no sales values, so gross value of asset is always an accumulated value of asset, which is to be calculated as equal to previous year's gross value of asset plus the purchase of asset minus the sale of asset if any. And this, when we track, we get the value of gross value of asset for all the years, and this is the value on which we are supposed to calculate the depreciation. When we calculate the depreciation, we will be getting our accumulated depreciation, because accumulated depreciation is depreciation till date. So it is necessary for us to calculate depreciation first. Now as given in the case, the depreciation, if you see here, is to be calculated on average of current and previous year. And depreciation we calculate into income statement and from year 1. So we will calculate depreciation as average of previous year values, gross values, okay, plus current year value divided by 2, which will give us the gross value of asset. Look at the formula bar carefully. Okay, I am making an average of it by dividing it by 2, and now I multiply it with the depreciation rate. Depreciation rate we have already recorded into the assumptions column here, but I freeze it now. Why? Because I want to use it as referencing in dragging. So I freeze the depreciation rate, which I want to keep common, but rest of the thing I want to move as I drag the formula. So I simply press enter and it gives me the depreciation of 3. I have formatted my cells to give me full values, and means full integers and not decimals. So that's why I am getting 3. You might get the value as 2.5. Okay, just for convenience I am making it the full integer. Now if I copy the same formula for the rest of the years, it gives me the depreciation for the rest of the years. Now from this depreciation values, I can calculate my EBIT very easily as EBITDA minus depreciation will be my EBIT. And I drag this formula for rest of the years and it gives me EBITDA for all the years. Now from this depreciation values, I can calculate the accumulated depreciation and net values of depreciation as well. We are assuming that there is no depreciation for year 0 in this case. So we will start calculating depreciation, accumulated depreciation from year 1, which is always equal to accumulated depreciation of the previous year. Listen to me carefully. Accumulated depreciation of the previous year plus current year's depreciation, which we calculated just now. So for year 1, accumulated depreciation is equal to year 0 accumulated depreciation plus only depreciation for year 1, which we have calculated into income statement. I press enter and I drag it. And now you can see the accumulated values of depreciation. From this, if I have to calculate net value of assets, net value of assets is equal to gross value of assets or gross block of assets, it is called into the final accounts of companies, minus the accumulated depreciation for all the years. When I copy this formula, it gives me the value of net block of assets, which we will be using into the balance sheet. Now here we have finished one part of calculation of depreciation, through which we have received EBIT. Now for completing income statement, we need to calculate interest function or interest values to get EBT and then to calculate tax. In this case, if we see, we have interest expenditure as well and we have interest income as well. Interest expenditure rate is 10% and interest income rate is 6%. So we make both the labels into our income statement and try to calculate the interest expenditure and interest income at the respective values. But for calculation of interest expense, we need to prepare the debt schedule. And for preparation of debt schedule, we need to know the debt values. Now debt values depend on the debt equity ratio of the organization, which the organization is saying that the debt ratio of the company is 2:1. So we mark it as 2:1 and my debt percentage, that's why becomes equal to 1 divided by 2, 1 divided by 3 into 2, and I convert it into percentage. It gives me 66% of my capex comes from debt and remaining one part, that is 33%, comes from retained earnings. In this case, we are not talking about equity, new funding of equity, but whatever funding of capex is done, 33% of it is done from equity. So when capex is generated, it is generated from the funding of debt and equity as from the total value of capex, 66% is debt and from the total value of capex, 33% is equity or retained earnings, which gives me the total capex value as the sum of debt and equity, which is equal to 25. Now there are no capex in year 1, 2, but there is a capex of 14 in year 3, and it has been said into the case that even for the new capex, the same debt equity ratio is to be applied. So we will calculate the debt equity for it with the same ratio as total capex multiplied by debt proportion gives me debt value, and total capex multiplied by equity proportion gives me equity value, which makes the total as 14. And now we have the debt values or the loan values that we have taken in the respective years, and from that we have to prepare the debt schedule. But for preparation of debt schedule, we need to know the interest rate on the expenses, which we have already marked into the income statement as 10%, and even the tenure of the loan, which is given to us as 10 years. Remember, in assumption column, do not put unit of measurement, only put values or percentage. Otherwise, it will not be able to give us the answer when linked. Now, talking about debt schedule, whenever you are preparing the debt schedule, prepare it in this manner: as beginning of period debt, equated annual installment, principal, interest, and end of period debt. It will give us all the required values which we are going to use into the balance sheet and into the income statement wherever necessary. In this particular case, the organization has taken two loans. One is for general business and another is for expansion. Both the loans have been taken at different stages, and the payment is also based on the time period in which they have taken. That's why the calculation has to be done separately. Now, if I talk about debt schedule 1, that is for general business. The end of period debt means for capex, which is 25, out of that 17 crores has been taken as a debt, which will become the end of period debt for loan 1 or debt 1. So that becomes our end of period debt. Now, end of period debt of year 0 becomes beginning of period debt for year 1. We are simply putting all the formulas in year 1 column now, so that we can drag it later on. Now, when we want to calculate equated annual installment, we have to use PMT function. Those who have followed my earlier videos on Excel know it how to calculate it. We simply put the rate, freeze it, number of periods, freeze it, present value as 17. After NPER, freezing, give comma, present value, freeze it, comma, future value we want 0, and we assume end of year payment. And it gives us our equated annual installment. If we want to calculate the principal proportion of it, we will use PPMT function, which again asks for rate, freeze it, comma, number of periods. Period is 1, comma, we are not freezing the period. Okay. Then comes number of periods, which is 10, freeze that value, principal value 17, freeze it because it remains same, future value 0, and again end of the period payment assumption. It gives us our principal value, and interest will be also calculated in the same manner, but by using IPMT function. So I use the IPMT function, similar manner, rate, freeze, period 1, don't freeze it, number of periods means the total tenure, 10, freeze it, present value, which is 17 for the first loan, freeze it, future value 0, and end of period payment assumption. It gives me the interest value as well, through which I can calculate my end of period debt. Now, when we say beginning of period debt or end of period debt, we mean the principal component of it only and not the interest component of it. So, the principal component of it is equal to beginning of period balance minus principal paid. But here I see this already has a negative sign. So, to give the appropriate effect to this negative sign, instead of deducting, I add the principal here because it is already into negative sign, which gives me my end of period balance. And now I can drag the entire column for the rest of the years, which will give me values for all the remaining periods. There is some mistake in interest. Yes, C40, which is the principal value. I have not freezed it, and that's why it is giving me 0. So, if you forget to freeze the value, it will not give you correct values. And now if you see, it is giving me the correct values. In the similar way, we will be calculating debt schedule 2, which is for expansion purpose. Now expansion is done in the year 3. So end of period in year 3, we assume that we have taken a loan from the capex of 14. 9 crore is the loan that we have taken. So end of period our balance for debt 2 becomes 9. Again in the similar way it becomes my opening balance for year 4. My equated annual installment, again I use PMT function. Rate is 10%. I freeze it. Number of periods 10. I freeze it. My present value is 9. I freeze it. My future value is 0. I freeze it. My type is 0. No need to freeze 0 values. And I get my equated annual installment. I calculate PMT, that is my principal. I take the principal, I take the interest rate, freeze it. Period. Now here period I will not take 4th because for this loan this is first year. So I take period as 1. Number of periods for this loan as well is 10 years. So NPER present value is 9 and FV and type 0. Similar way IPMT for interest calculations. Rate 10%, freeze it. Period again 1, not 4. Okay. NPER 10, freeze it. Present value 9, freeze it. Future value 0 and type 0. And end of period balance, as we have seen in the previous case, beginning of period balance minus principal, but principal here is already given into negative, so I make it plus principal, which gives me my end of period balance. And now I drag the entire column for the rest 2 years, which gives me the values of interest, principal and end of period debt values, which we are going to use into our balance sheet. And from this we can very easily calculate the interest values required in our income statement. So we'll start from year 0 itself. Year 0 interest expenditure is, actually there is no interest expenditure in year 0, but for calculation of interest we are going to consider from year 0. So for the general loan plus the additional loan taken, we take the interest values from the respective columns and then we drag it for the rest of the years. Now here if you see, the values are already coming into negative. We will not do anything to that, we will keep them as it is. Next is interest income. In case of interest income, it is given to us in the case that it depends on the beginning of period cash balance, which we have not yet calculated. So we will keep that line blank and we will calculate the EBT as EBIT. Normally it is minus interest expenditure plus interest income, but in this case interest expenditure is also given to us as negative. So we will simply make the sum of all the values as EBIT plus interest expenditure plus interest income is equal to EBT. We simply drag it. For next 6 years we get EBT values, and now we calculate tax. Whenever you are calculating tax, instead of calculating the tax simply from the percentage given, which is 25% in this case, use if function so that these values in case change and go negative, it will give us appropriate answer. So use if function. The logical condition is always my EBT should always be above 0 when I am calculating tax. There is no tax on negative EBT. So I put a logical condition as EBT above 0. If EBT is above 0, my tax should be EBT multiplied by tax rate, and I freeze tax rate, and if not, it should give me value as 0 or answer as 0, and it has given me appropriate answer. I simply copy the formula, paste it for the rest of the years, and from that I can calculate my PAT as EBIT minus tax, and copy and paste the formula for rest of the years. This will give me my profit after tax, you call it, or you call it net income. This way we have nearly completed our income statement. In next video we will see how to prepare the balance sheet.